Okay, you guys, I'm making this what if just for the memes, bro. Like, this gonna be like, what if Deku was black, but it's gonna be even more ghetto, my nigga. Like, this shit is about to be on X Games mode. I'm not even playing. On dead homies, nigga. Listen, okay, the first thing that Deku does is, oh, and if you can my music, which you probably can't, because, I usually don't have my music that loud. Now, first off, this takes part inside of college. Why? Because I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, fuck your beliefs. And I know the actual anime starts in high school. I'm just changing up the timeline. So fuck you if you say anything about this shit in the comments. Cause you can go and fuck yourself. You can go and fuck your mama. You can go and fuck your daddy. You can go and fuck your grandma. I don't give a fuck. I really don't. So let's get into the what if. Now, first off, inside of high school, well, I'm gonna make this even lower. Inside of eighth grade, Izuku was still quirkless. Now, just because he was quirkless does not mean he didn't get no girls, he didn't get no bitches, you heard me? Like, he was really out there in the streets. He was really out there, you heard me? So, first off, how do I explain this? Okay, inside of middle school, right? He didn't stand up for that bullying and stuff. Maybe he didn't win all of his fights, but he always hurt the person way more than he was hurt. Even if he did get knocked out, people would still say he basically won the fight. Now, one day he was fighting with Bakugo. He was like really getting in there. Like, Bakugo was about to be slept on, beat on, gang. And then all of a sudden, Izuku gets knocked out by one of Bakugo's goons. Now, he then wakes up inside of this black void, seeing his body slowly fall. Now, it's kind of like the Get Out thing, but he can hear himself screaming because he's confused on what's happening. Just because he that nigga does not mean that nigga, he ain't that nigga that ain't scared at all. You hear me? So, he decides that he's not gonna fall. He's not gonna fail because yesterday he lost two fights because he doesn't stand up for that bullying stuff. People always trying to be on him, like for real. People are trying to like make fun of him and shit, but he ain't going for that shit. So he decides to get up out of nowhere. Like, he gets up, but his actual self, like his actual mindscape, is still falling. He's still knocked out. He doesn't know what's happening. Something else is controlling his body. When Bakugo says he wants some more and then punches at him, but when he does, Az- Izuku then grabs his arm and then he says, "Fuck you talking about," and then he breaks his arm. Now, as he says this and breaks his arm, everybody like, "Ooh, damn, that nigga on demon time." So basically, Bakugo looks up at Izuku's eyes, and he understands what they mean by demon time. As he's just in pain, he's not screaming because he doesn't want to act like a bitch in front of everybody. But as he looks back up after seeing Izuku break his arm, he sees Izuku's eyes. His pupils are red, but the outside of his actual eyes are black. Now, he does have the slit shape inside of his eyes too, kind of like the tailed beast, but it's kind of like a scarlet red. It isn't a like regular red. So then Bakugo's goon then tries to punch at him, but then he grabs his arm, and this time he doesn't only break his arm, he breaks his arm by kicking it, like grabbing his arm and kicking him with his foot, flipping around as he kicks him, lets go of his arm, grabs back onto it before he even touches the ground, flips him, breaks another bone inside the same arm, and then he literally gets his hand He puts it like he's about to chop him in the throat, but he really just uses the tip of his fingers to hit him in the throat, which then causes him to spit out blood. Which then the second goon, since Bakugo did have three, he's kind of worried, but he's not useless since he has a flying quirk. He could just lift him up, and as long as he's lifted up, he can't really touch him or affect him anyway. So he flies towards Izuku, but before he can even grab him, Izuku looks at him in the eyes, basically saying, "Stop right there, and your whooping won't be as bad as these guys." So then he stops, and then he hits the ground. Now Izuku then says, "Oh, since you didn't attack me, I'll only break your arm." And he breaks his arm, but then he's he then says, "Bakugo, I know you didn't think I was finished with you, old bitch ass." He then picks up Bakugo, throws him into the ground, stomps his chest, breaking his ribcage, and then kicking him into a wall. Which everybody like, ooh, damn, this nigga about to get expelled on beat. But before he can get expelled, he picks back up Bakugo, and people think he's about to kill him. But he looks at him in the eyes, and his red pupils then turn all black. Like his eyes are completely black, and everybody's at this point, they're not even wild anymore. They're just terrified of him. And he looks Bakugo in the eyes, doesn't even say anything. He doesn't even put an image in his mind or a genjutsu. Nothing like an illusion or anything. He just looks inside of his empty eyes and is terrified. Like he's completely terrified. So terrified that Bakugo pissed himself. And then Azuku's eyes go back to normal. Then he said, and then he starts laughing and he says, "Nigga, did you really just piss yourself?" And then he throws him into a wall while still laughing. Now he looks at everybody with his eyes going back to completely black, and he says, "If any of you bitch ass niggas tell any of the teachers what happened here, I will break all the bones in your body." So then everybody's just quiet. And Bakugo's not even screaming anymore because he's knocked out. The other kids are. But, you know, even. Now, after all of this happens, he then walks away. And one girl in particular, Toga, my nigga. And this is still inside of middle school. As I was saying, basically, she basically gets on Izuku. Like, she's all over Izuku. Like, she's just grabbing up on his arm. She's all close to him and shit. And basically, Izuku's excited because he's like, I mean, like, this girl all over me, and if she trying to go, I'm trying to go. Like, this is my first time. Fuck you talking about. Now, he then proceeds to, how do I explain? He then proceeds to walk with her out of the school, while the teachers still don't know what happened. They're planning to make a meeting the next day to show what happened to Bakugo and basically ask the kids what happened to him. And of course none of them are going to talk, but we're not on that right now. Now, basically, as I was saying, I was a little bit too hype. Uh he walks home with her and he stops at her house and he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my house. Can I get that number though? And then she looks at him in his eyes, smiling, and she said, "You can get a lot more." And then pulls him into the house. Now, I don't think I need to say what happened there, but let's just say 9 months later, you know, a black baby came out here. And since I'm gonna say there was no other real black kid in school except for him, and he was literally the only black kid that she gave it at and give it at but that's not my point. Basically, you know, he was the only black kid that he gave that to. He was the only black kid that was like beating it up. Like you feel me, you feel me. But basically, time skip. I think about since he was inside the 8th grade. I'm gonna say he was 13. So time skip to college, which would make him about 20, which would make his baby. Nah, I'm gonna say he's 19. I'm gonna say he's 19. Why? Cause I'm that nigga. Don't ever question me again, nigga. Don't question me. Don't question me. Ah, mans. Fuck you talking about? Fuck is you talking about? So basically, you know, um, shit, um, he has a little girl. Yep, I'm gonna make it a girl just because I needed him to have a girl, because he gonna be more heartwarming to her. Now he takes her places, and I'm gonna say UA starts at like college. So then, if anything were to happen to the kids, I'm gonna say like inside of high school, before they got into high school, a really bad thing happened with the villains, and they broke into the school and basically killed a bunch of kids. And before they were captured, they got away. So they bumped it up to college. So then they wouldn't have high schoolers like 14 to 15-year-olds dying because, as I was saying, they bumped it up to college because they didn't want 14 to 15-year-olds dying because the villains decided to attack a place where all the heroes would be. So at this point, he readies himself for UA and he passes the test. Because after the incident inside of middle school, he was training with his powers and he kind of learned that whenever he gets highly angry or somebody holds up a camera and says World Star, or he has a chain on with some Tims, he goes into what he calls real nigga mode. And basically, what this mode does is he basically, well, turns into a real nigga, you heard me? So, yeah, he kind of real niggered himself, like, all the way through all the robots and kind of destroyed everything that was inside of his path, that was getting inside of his way. So, he got the highest score. I'm not even going to explain what happened. I'm just going to say a bunch of robots were just found in pieces. Nobody even saw him move. Robots were just in pieces. Nobody could explain it. They don't know how he moved so fast, but he knew. But they knew it was him since he was there. And then as soon as the person said go, he instantly disappeared as they looked back on the cameras. Which means, evidently, all the robots that were just getting destroyed was from him either moving extremely fast or teleporting. Which they would think that he was moving really fast because if he was teleporting, there's no possible way he could just destroy robots in a matter of seconds, and also not be seen by any cameras. And there was no buildings really in the way, because even on the buildings there were cameras that could be thrown away. So basically, he was just teleporting through, destroying all the robots, well, running through technically. Now, the next day, before he goes to school, he decides to wake up early, take his daughter to, I'm going to name a real place, Disneyland. Now, I've never been, but she goes on a few Disneyland rides, and it's like extremely early in the morning, and it's kind of like a, a I'm gonna say inside of this, Disneyland stays up 24 hours all times of the day, but people like get shifts. So basically, they're up early in the morning before the sun even rises, and they're going on rides, eating food, all that, and then he puts her back to sleep in the morning since she's like extremely sleepy. But I'm gonna say like 3 to 4 hours later, um, he wakes her up for school, and then he decides to go to UA. Now, as he walks down to UA, he opens the door. Now, the first person that he sees is Uraraka. Now, he instantly looks away because Uraraka. How do I explain this? Yeah, basically, when he was doing all that, he heard Uraraka scream and he destroyed the robot, picking up Uraraka, which they did pick this one instance up on the camera. Now, he then sped her to a nurse, and he basically had waited there with her, and after she was healed she had to stay inside the hospital for like a few more hours to make sure it wasn't anything permanent. And as they were getting a break to see basically if anything was permanent from looking at all the data, they had about an hour. And let's just say that hour was not happening with any child friendly sorts of activity. You feel me? I think we all know what I mean. Now, he then looks away and she's like, wow, do you even know what happened? And then he was like, please don't say she's pregnant. Please don't say she's pregnant. Please don't say she's pregnant. And then she says, I'm pregnant. And then he says, damn. Tears then go down his face. And then she's like, I thought you already had a child. He then says, I do, but it's so stressful taking care of children. And tears just keep on going down his face. And then the tears instantly disappear. And then the black eyes appear. And then he says, if you don't take that plan B, bitches plan C on some blue face type shit. Now, if you don't know what plan C is, get the fuck off my channel. Get the fuck off my channel. Because we all know what plan C is. And if you don't know what plan C is, then you obviously not old enough. Now, for the people that are old enough and are extra slow, plan C is just kicking, punching, slapping, or doing anything to get rid of the baby inside the stomach. Basically killing the baby before it even comes out. That's plan C. Like, maybe accidentally dropping a banana peel on the stairs and then she falls down the stairs, and then that's the end of the baby. Now, that's plan C for the extra slow niggas. Now, they go through the quirk analysis and Izuku then aces all of it. Like, he gets infinite on all of it. Speed infinite. Because it didn't even, like, the pressure plate. There was a pressure plate at the end, so then you wouldn't have to press the timer and be off by a few seconds. Just in case, students were extra fast. Like Izuku or maybe Bakugo with his explosions if he shoots them fast enough. Or maybe even Ida if he was fast enough. So they put a pressure plate at the end to see when exactly their speed was. So then it would instantly stop once the pressure plate was stood on. Now this went from milliseconds to seconds. The practitioner said go. Eraserhead said go. Instantly. And that's all everybody can hear. And that sound means that they got past the finish line. This means he ran, not 3 meters, 15 meters in less than a second. And everybody's eyes just go agape and they're just like, what the fuck just happened? And they all basically ask Izuku how we got this fast. And then he says, you know what? The power's a nigga man. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. The power's a nigga man. And they say the power's up, and then he looks at them so creepily, and then he says, "Say it, say it. I want you to. I want you to. See how fast your heart's gonna be inside of my hand. See how fast you're not even gonna know you're dead." And they all just stop what they're saying, and they're like, "Okay." This is where I'm gonna leave it off. If you guys enjoyed, had laughed, or just all around had a good time, then you know what to do. If you don't know what to do for the extra slow niggas, I never ask for likes. I just ask for subscriptions. So please subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Don't be on demon time. Don't catch chlamydia, and if you do catch chlamydia, then wow, that's extremely unlucky. I'll see you guys later, and don't die. See you later.